Well, this is a bit different.
There we go. Oh, hello.
Hey, how's it going? I thought I'd just sort of sit down and give you all a little bit of an update of where things are at the moment. Obviously, it's been a bit quiet around the channel for a little while, and it's been quiet because...
Okay. Can you shift? You're taking up the whole frame.
Well, we bought a house. And we've been moving. It's super exciting because, well, I mean, apart from all the obvious reasons, is because the house we've moved to has a garage in the garden, which is going to become a whole studio space. And it also has its own separate wooden workshop in the garden. So I thought that this video could kind of be a little build a studio with me kind of piece. We're going to revamp the converted garage and turn it into the Dark Souls models set. I wanted this video to come out a little sooner, but with how all things go with moving, you know, one job becomes two jobs, which then turns out to be a multiple job. You know, we moved in and the back gate in the garden was broken, and obviously with little Nula here, that just wouldn't do, so had to build a whole new gate. Then had to renovate a split bedroom into one bedroom so that we could have somewhere to sleep, which meant knocking down walls, ripping up carpets and putting up new skirting boards and picture rails and laying down new wooden flooring, and then obviously just, you know, making it nice and presentable before we could actually properly sleep and stay in our new place. All that basically having to be done before we could even think about taking a look at building our new studio, which is where I'm at now at this exact moment in time. So I'm just kind of sat in this empty room and just taking a moment to reflect on everything that's happened up to this point. Before here, we lived with our friends in a retirement bungalow, which is where all of this began. You know, when COVID hit and I worked in the feature film VFX industry, most notably on this amazing piece of art.
You just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
I lost my job when all the film and TV came to a complete halt, and then I decided to take the jump and go freelance as an editor and animator. During freelancing, I took up this hobby of painting Dark Souls board game miniatures, which became this. I was juggling the freelancing and the YouTubing. I then picked up a part-time job, which became my full-time job as an editor. Would I like to say that this was achieved with MrBeast YouTube money? Yes. Is that the reality? No. It's just been 4 years of an awful lot of hard work, balancing my job and the YouTube simultaneously, and I'm just insanely pleased and proud that we are now in this position where we can do this. So I guess we just get building. I don't even know why I'm holding this mic, it's not even attached to anything. Do you want to add anything to this? You know, wave to the camera. Bye bye.
Oh, my phone's ringing. Hello. You alright?
So, first things first, we had to get the garage prepped, fixed up and cleaned before it could become a studio. The walls had a bunch of holes, dents and scratches from the previous owners, which needed to be filled and sanded to be smoothed over.
Yikes. You gotta go.
And it was also pretty dusty and grimy in there, so it needed a pretty good going over with a couple hoovers. We're going to paint the entire thing in 2 different colours, and we settled on the idea of this maroon and pink half and half split combo with a black and white tile floor effect. But before we could do any big paint jobs, we had to get the walls cleaned up. The door was pretty messed up, so while I cleaned, Vic was stripping down any big problems on the door. I mean, probably we're just going to replace the whole thing at some point, because, I mean, who the hell needs a letterbox on a garage? And this beautiful curtain rail and curtain combo wasn't quite fitting the aesthetic, so that had to go. And one little touch up left before we redecorate was just go over any of the gaps or cracks with a little bit of sealant. And with that, we have one lovely, empty, clean garage ready to rock. Now, the beautiful beige carpet was the next victim, and that got ripped out along with the underlay and carpet grippers, which revealed this lovely stain on the floor. So we had to make sure everything was aired out for a little while so that there was no moisture.
Nice shot of your dirty ass walking away.
Is it?
And with the carpet gone, it was time to get painting. First up, get the painter's tape laid out everywhere to give us that lovely crisp line. And the first colour is going to be the background of the main shot, and that colour is going to be our sexy maroon vibe. And so we wanted something that felt clean and warm, but didn't scream, "This is a man cave." This is a professional studio for super professional professionals like myself. Then the next coat, which is going to be on Vic's side of the room, we went with a nice pinky tone that sat in the same tone family as the maroon to give us a nice split in the studio. And for the floor, we loved the idea of having this black and white tile, but we're not made of money and we just bought a house, so we got some of this tile effect vinyl flooring to lay out. It's super spongy and comfy, and I think it's going to look pretty cool on camera. It was a proper faff as it had to be cut to size, which did not prove to be the easiest of jobs. And with the floor in, I had to set up some shelving to get all of the models moved in, as they had been living in a little cupboard in our bedroom for a few weeks. Not the most ideal place for them, but needs must. Now this is probably the coolest find of the entire thing. Vic was prowling Facebook Marketplace and found a proper fantasy-looking antique cabinet to sit against the back wall, and it only cost 50 quid. Absolute bargain.
Gotta do quality checks. Is that good wood, new? What do you think?
I think the project manager is pleased.
Project manager is pleased?
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye now. Toodaloo.
And that means I can pop all my little bits and bobs and tools and shit in here. I had a look around for some RGB tube lamps because, you know, you can't be a real YouTuber without having any RGB lights, you know. But, you know, they're all pretty pricey, so I decided to go with some super cheap ones off of eBay, and to be honest, they do the trick. Speaking of lights, there was this random hanging light literally at the back of the room, and it wasn't going to be any sort of use hanging there, so I decided to take that down. And I hopped up into the attic, because any excuse for me to get up into an attic, I'm going to take it, and basically just try and find the connection wires and set up some new lights in the center of the room.
Right, I'm up in the attic, and I've just managed to find the end of this wire. Voila. And now I've got to carefully maneuver out of here. Oh, there's the light. Descending. Easy, does it? So I reckon if we're there, the desk is going to be there. I reckon we want to pull the light somewhere in the middle here.
I then hooked up the new studio lights to the old ceiling wiring and moved it to a more suitable position, which will be directly above where the workstation will be.
Moment of truth. Come on. Bollocks. Hey! Woo.
Now, speaking of workstation, ever since I saw a butcher's block worktop, I haven't got it out of my head that that is what I want to work on. Vic did some digging and found a cheap second-hand option on eBay that she bidded on, but we'll have to wait 6 days until the auctions ended. So whilst we waited for that, in the meantime, we decided to get ourselves some wall-mounted storage, and that could only mean one thing. Idea? Nah, IKEA. We got some funky looking black metal baskets and rails and box storage to go on the walls, so we drilled and screwed them all in and started filling them out with tools and models and decorations, and it all started to come together pretty well. Now, I thought whilst we still had a few days until the butcher's block auction ended, I would hop across to the wooden workshop area and start fixing it up to get a little printer station going on. That would be if I could get into it. Remember how I said one job becomes two jobs and then becomes a multi-job job? Yeah. So the flagstones had raised from underneath the workshop door, which meant it only opened halfway. So that meant I had to dig them up and lower the ground level beneath them and then lay them back down to get the door to open fully before I could even get in there and do anything. It wasn't in the best of states, but it just needed some tidying and cleaning to just get it to a good enough point that I could move stuff in. From there, I was able to bring the printers in and get them set up and ready to roll.
One problem. Not ideal. Also not ideal. Then I'm going to switch ideas.
That wasn't ideal, so I swapped sides and gave it another sprucing up, and this is where the printers are gonna go. 2 days later, and we won the butcher's block auction. We thought it was relatively close, but it turns out it was a bit further away than we first thought. So we ended up doing a 3-hour round trip to go and pick it up and just prayed that it was going to fit in my car. With it being secondhand, it didn't have any instructions to put it back together, but Vic and I rubbed a few brain cells together and managed to get it set up after a little while.
Got it.
Hey. Come here, Austin.
You good?
Yeah. Now, to give the room a little flair, we just did a little bit of decorating with some pictures and some more models. A little final flourish was to create a brick paneling effect to sit above the center of the back cabinet, just to make it look like there's a sort of fireplace chimney breast in the background. And that got delivered today, so we'll take a look at that now.
This is not the right one.
Take 2. We got some brick paneling effect here, and I'm gonna put it together against this wooden slab. Pop it up against the wall, and there we have a beautiful fake fireplace chimney breast. And with that, amazingly, the studio's complete.
We're done.
Woo! Put your hands on your knees and shake that ass and look like Coochie breathe. Yeah.
So welcome to the new Dark Souls model set. I want to thank you all for joining me in this studio build video. I know it's a little bit different to what we usually do on the channel, which is, building Dark Souls models, but it's pretty cool. And I want to especially thank my patrons for all their patience during this really quiet period where I haven't been posting and uploading a lot due to, moving and building the studio. To me, I think it's worth it. And thank you at home for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, hit the like button, drop me a comment, or if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. All that's left to say is I'm super excited to have you all along for the ride in this next chapter of the Dark Souls Models channel. And I'm even more excited to get started on the next project because we're gonna get a little berserk. God.